Steele, let's talk about the beta. You had a blast with it. You weren't sure you were going to play it, but you did. And please explain to the fine folks of what the no Diddy meat sack thing means, because apparently that's a thing.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, man. What can I say about Black Ops 6 that that wouldn't get people more excited, honestly. But to your point, I wasn't going to play Black Ops 6 because fortunately, unfortunately, there's very few Call of Duties that I find myself not interested in, right? But most I do find some interested in, I do end up playing. And I'm typically not a beta dude really like that either. But nonetheless, I did end up, I uninstalled Call of Duty from my Battle.net launcher. And again, I've said this to Boom in the background, and I just want to use this. And I know I'm a small sample size. This isn't going to be a thing that everybody does. But I know a lot of people say that launchers are always an issue, and people have an issue with the Xbox launcher especially. Now, I'm the rare case. For me, I look at the Xbox app kind of like Cyberpunk 2077. I didn't have the issues that everybody else did at launch, right? And I still don't have those issues, or have had those issues since then. It's been very rare and few in between, but nonetheless, I deleted it from Battle.net, and because I just wanted to see how it was going to be in Xbox Game Pass. Not only that, I have an Ultimate subscription, and you have to buy the game, because I wanted to see if there was a way that I connected my Ultimate to Battle.net. They're all under the same roof now. Like, how is that going to work? But there was nothing there to explain any of that. So I was like, okay, well, I'll delete it from here. I really only use Battle.net for Diablo and Call of Duty. I'm not playing Diablo 4 right now. So, and I installed it on Xbox. On the Xbox app. It was extremely seamless. It also asks you, because it's the time around where they also ask you exactly what you want to download from the game. Because again, it's all under this Call of Duty HQ kind of thing now, right? Where you have to download this and then download all these other parts of it if you want to. It's not as broken as it used to be. Nonetheless, I downloaded the beta. It loaded up perfectly fine, optimized shaders, everything loaded up as intended. And that was super dope to see, because again, that's going to be one of the first roadblocks that people run into who have any interest in jumping into Call of Duty this year, especially with it being in Game Pass Ultimate. But as soon as I loaded in, the first thing I did was run through the tutorial, and I almost didn't do the tutorial. I was like, man, what I need to play the tutorial for? This is Call of Duty. I've been playing Call of Duty for a long time. I'm the guy that hops into Call of Duty after I haven't played in 3 to 6 months, and I play ranked and stress. Well, I don't stress myself out because I like that high octane action, but I'll jump into ranked Warzone and wonder why I'm playing with these randos who don't know what they're doing, and question myself as why people still don't know how to play domination or anything. But nonetheless, I tried out the tutorial, and just from the very jump, you can notice a vast difference in how the game feels. And this is something I will continue to talk about, just like I talk about from going from 30 frames to 60 frames. I think what Treyarch has implemented with this, and it's something that's so simple that even I thought it was going to be somewhat of a gimmicky thing, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, this omni movement thing, it's going to make a world of a difference. You're going to really feel the gun. You're going to make action moves. And I was like, I don't know about this. Man, when I tell you, when they had me jump through the door the first time, and I was able to spin my camera around mid-jump and actually look around the corner or look at whoever was right there at the door, was such a special feeling. Because I was explaining to Boom in the background, there's things that we would have just been taught in games, right? Certain things just aren't possible. Things have just been a certain way for such a long time. How you would naturally think about things, people who have shotguns or have been around things like that, or if you're even in the military, you probably are familiar with checking your corners and checking rooms and all this good stuff. Like, just even if you were a normal person, like if you were going into a dark room, maybe you would want to check around the corner real quick. Or if you did jump into the room, you would look real quick, right? Not just look straight and be laying on the floor, right? So when you implement that into a game, it does feel weird in Call of Duty at first. And I do find myself getting used to it, because a lot of my time in the beta, I was spending just jumping around. I was like, oh, let me dive this way, because with the Omni movement, you can literally dive any way, left,
It's
right,
crazy.
front, back, Max Payne kind of style, right? It
Yes.
doesn't go slow-mo or nothing like that, but that's how it feels. Like you're Max Payne in first person. And the uniqueness of it, this was something that I just wasn't expecting for it to feel as crisp as it does. And there's going to be a lot of advantages to it. There's going to be a lot of disadvantages to it. And it's going to be extremely interesting to see how casual players and even the hardcore players start taking advantage of these things, or just getting used to this new movement style in a first person shooter. There were some tweets that are going around as well. I believe it was Eastside Vandal, actually. Shout out to Vandal. He made a post on Twitter that said, "Hey, is the Omni movement in Call of Duty, is that something that could possibly change the FPS genre, or be implemented in all first person shooter games?" And I wrote him a comment, and I was just like, honestly, I think it may. Like, this is one of those innovative things that maybe you wouldn't think of that would be extremely impactful. But and I think we need this in Halo. I need this in Rainbow. I need this in every other first person shooter moving forward, just because of how natural it begins to feel the more you play. It's extremely dope. But I was mentioning, like I was talking to Boom, because I know some people are trying to downplay it, right? About Black Ops 6. What's crazy to me is that the thing that's blowing up the most about Black Ops 6, at least from what I'm seeing, is the whole meat shield system that they have now, right?
Talk about it, brother.
When they first
when you do it, but not so much when someone does it to you.
Absolutely. What's funny about it is the meat shield mechanic is something that I'm more so familiar with it from Gears of War, right? That was something that has always been in there. Campaign, you can do it, but it was used a lot in multiplayer. What's even more funny about what's happening, and it's happening on all the social medias. I'm talking about YouTube Shorts, TikTok. It's heavy on TikTok right now. And to play into what Boom was mentioning about the No Diddy 6 thing, it is becoming a hashtag of people are literally meat shielding people, because all you got to do in here, versus like what you were doing in Gears of War, you had to down people, right? You get downed, people pick you up off the floor, and then we bring you to a corner, and we essentially would do the same things. Oh, you like that, huh? Oh man, look at you now. Look, you're in my arms now, right? Like those are things we were doing 10, 15 years ago in Gears of War, man. Talking mad smack. It was one of the most disrespectful thing outside of beating somebody's face in for however long, because they changed that going into Gears 3, that you could do in the game. And to see people catch so much traction, or really love the fact that you can run up behind somebody in Call of Duty and grab them behind the neck and use them as a meat shield, not only I think is an interesting mechanic for a first person shooter overall, especially in Call of Duty, but the amount of smack talk that this is going to introduce, because let's be real. If you're online and somebody runs up behind you, and instead of assassinating you, they grab you and start moving around and talking smack and telling you that, oh yeah, welcome to the Diddy party, baby. You ready to sign this contract? I think it's such an amazing thing for gaming in totality. And again, no, I don't promote toxicity or nothing like that, but I love to have good fun. And I think this is something that does implement the fun back into the gaming side, especially for Call of Duty. And that's super dope to see, man. It's really funny. It's crazy to think that people are now picking up on this from something that I had experienced 10, 15 years ago that I thought was special, and it being reinvigorated in this way, man. So the one most powerful thing I think about Call of Duty this time around, with Black Ops 6, is that with the amount of traction that it's getting, I really am interested to see how people end up engaging with it. Because I do think with the way that this game feels, plays, this definitely has a chance to blow the Game Pass numbers up. At least double for whatever they are right now, just based off principle, right? There's millions of gamers that are out there. There's millions of people who have not played Call of Duty in such a long time. And I spent my weekend, I should say, listening to people since the beta came out, just talk about, oh man, I hadn't played Call of Duty in a minute. I've put the game away for like 3 games or whatever, and it was just not for me anymore. And they try to beta out because either it's available to them in Game Pass, their homies tell them about it, or they just get access to it. And they're like, bro, I haven't played Call of Duty since Ghosts, and this feels amazing. Right. So it's really dope to see. I think Xbox does have something special on their hand. I know a lot of people were hoping that Call of Duty was going to start falling off, but looks like everything else around it is continue to kind of wane and teeter. They put out some numbers for X Defiant this week as well. It looks like it's losing its player base. So again, Call of Duty might end up being king going into the holidays weekend, man. I mean, this at the end of this year. So it's just super dope to see. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Really enjoying what they're giving us, and can't wait to play it on release, man. So
yeah, honestly, it's all I want to play. It's literally the only thing that I want to play. I am so like I was almost late to the show, folks. I'm not going to front. I was playing. When I'm done with this, I'm getting back. Like, honestly, it's infectious. And it's not because it's only Game Pass and that's why you're playing it.
It's not.
No, it's I haven't played in a long. Listen. The problem with me is that as much as I would love to sit in a party with the people in the community and just be there for 6 hours and just play and laugh and make jokes and whatever, I just don't have the time. So what I like about Halo, what I like about Call of Duty is I can play with randos. It's not a problem. I can still have fun, even if it's 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes I get lucky and I can play for an hour. And that's exactly what I did over the weekend. Like whenever Mrs. Boom was doing some other stuff, we weren't like chilling and watching our K-dramas. I'm playing Call of Duty. In fact, all I was playing this weekend was the Castlevania triple pack that released. I'm like 12 hours into Dawn of Sorrow. My God, it's so good. And I haven't even touched Star Wars yet. Like I have it's downloaded. I just Call of Duty, and again, you're not going to see it here because obviously I wouldn't have my credit card information show up on the screen. But yeah. I did buy the $30 Volt Edition upgrade because it's worth every penny in my opinion. Look, Fuzzy, it appears that Xbox and Microsoft have, and specifically Treyarch and Activision have hit on their hands. This is going to do numbers. There's no denying it. It is so good. The Omni movement that Steele was referring to is so fast, and it makes the game so much fun. Where I was telling Steele in the green room, there's a particular part in the villa where you have to when you have to like capture the spots by the pool. And anyone that's played it knows what I'm talking about. And there are 2 kill points from the top. So if you stick your head up, you're dead, right? But if you hug the wall and you're low, whether you be on your back or on laying prone, people won't see you. I've actually had people like crawl past me because they thought I was a dead body, and I just light them up. And it's just I can't get enough of it. This is going to be a big deal. So Steele seems to think, and I'm right there with him. I co-sign exactly what he's talking about, where this is going to be a Game Pass title that brings people to the yard, so to speak. Yeah. It's Call of Duty, it's Black Ops, it's in Game Pass. But why I think Steele's onto something more than people may or may not give him credit for is the timing. We are in a time where spending $76.43 plus the extra $30 for the Volt Edition, so $108 after tax, isn't just anyone's going to go and do it, right? Like $108 for a lot of people, that's a food shopping, right? That might be your phone bill. So, and again, this is where a frugal gamer who understands that he or she wants to be a part of the conversation. How do we get there if we can't afford to spend $108? Well, you can get Game Pass. And like I said, if you're frugal, you can get it for more than the $20 a month they're going to be offering it come September, come this month when it changes the price. But you haven't had a chance to play because obviously you were a bit under the weather, but you got a chance to watch all the videos. You got a chance to see the gameplay here. You got a chance to hear about it from other people. Let's break down how important this is not only as an Xbox Game Pass title, because it is going to bring people in. My rough estimate is in the first couple of weeks, 2 million plus players. I'm downplaying it a bit because I do think it's going to be more than that. You heard Starfield broke all-time numbers for Game Pass subscribers on day one, all time. This is going to shatter that 10 times over. There's just no doubt about it. Call of Duty is that big, and again, can we say it all out loud? Call of Duty is Xbox first party.
Yeah.
It still doesn't even sit right. Like, honestly, let's get your hot take, man.
Well, one thing, and some people have made mention in the chat, it's almost like it's at the right home now. It's a perfect fit, considering how Live started with party chat and things along those lines, and proximity chat in a lot of their games. And then to have this, especially where you're going to have the meat shield set up and the Omni movement, all those things right now goes to show how much Xbox is kind of like, I know people are going to disagree because, well, they were probably working on this before they were acquired. Whatever. Xbox has always been kind of that innovator when it comes to multiplayer games, or some sort of thing in multiplayer games that will bring more attention and then eventually becomes a norm in other games. So much to this, what Steele said, as far as like the Omni movement, yeah, that is something I think that should be in a lot more games. Like it seems like things, especially in the first person shooter genre, have been, I won't say stale, but kind of stale as far as new or innovative things. Like we saw how much people gravitated to the grappling hook when it came to Halo with Halo Infinite and stuff. So having those like, new things kind of show up, or reappearing things show up, make headway, and this Omni movement is definitely part of that. But the human shield thing, I definitely want to see that in more games. Like I remember it more so in the single player aspect of like Ghost Recon Wildlands, where you would do that to get intel from them and things like that. But yeah, this is fun to have something like that in multiplayer, and I'm hoping they even have something like that in the single player as well. Just for the harder difficulty, you can use that extra armor at certain points. So these are I wouldn't say necessarily game changers, but they will change the game to some extent, because it is going to bring more energy or more people into that game, and probably keep them in playing that game more frequently or more often, in comparison to some other ones that made some traction, like something human. What is it? The one that's like
Once Human.
Once Human, yeah. So these are going to be things that I'm so glad Treyarch and everybody that's pretty much worked on Call of Duty have implemented into the game, because it's definitely gonna, one, be across the board for multiplat, or as far as a multiplat, be something that everybody's talking about, everybody's playing. Clips will be probably a continuous thing until people can figure out some sort of exploit or whatever. But for the meantime, in all fun, I think this is probably one of the better moves that we've seen in the first person shooter genre. And just watching the clips has been so much fun. The fact that this is in Game Pass, a lower entry point or lower cost for the entry into this gaming space, I think is a huge thing. And we know that there's going to be some holiday specials, whether it's bundles or like what you see Target and other places do. Oh, buy this console, pick one of these 3 games for free or something along those lines. This is going to be something that from launch to, I would say, the holiday season is going to probably be on the top of the charts. Like, I think the only thing that will probably, start chipping away at this will probably be when Grand Theft Auto, if it hits in 2025, I still think it might get delayed, but I think that's the only thing that will kind of, take away from the momentum that they will have with this these changes to Call of Duty. But it's great to see. Looks like a ton of fun. I'm looking forward more so to the single player, because that's more what I do with Call of Duty. But it's just so fun seeing people just snatch people up. Going in the quarter, that's kind of funny, but I've seen people have like the human shields like kiss or whatever. So it's like there's just a whole bunch of random things for if you want to do like viral content. This is like the perfect source right now.
Yeah.
Like for a while, it used to be Fortnite. No, I think Call of Duty is going to take Fortnite's crown for the next few months and things like that, because they always seem to be fighting on who's on top for number one in the most played games on a platform. And I think Call of Duty's got what it takes now to probably solidify them at the top across the board. And it's going to be on probably Switch 2. So yeah, this is really it's going to have legs for at least the next year. And I hope they continue to innovate on some of these move sets and things like that. So it's just great to see.